Is that your opinion? So I have had people like, oh, I don't like that person, and almost tell me I shouldn't like them too. And I'm like, that person didn't do anything to me. I had not experienced that from them. I may keep it on my radar, but I'm not going to shun that person because someone else told me to. It starts with you. Because if you have a strong core or you feel very convicted and this, I'm 10 toes down.
Right.
This is my belief.
Right.
You're not going to be as impacted by other people's opinions. It was always seen as other people go to therapy, not us. We go to therapy and we all are at risk of being canceled. But again, are you really?
Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, where we dive deep into real conversations with extraordinary people in multi-million-dollar homes. Now, I'm your host, Ericka Rawls, and today we're going to be tackling a subject that has a profound implications on our society and our mental well-being: cancel culture. Have you ever wondered how public shaming affects someone's mental well-being, or how the fear of being canceled actually influences the way someone shows up online or offline? Those are some of the thought-provoking questions that we're going to be attacking or addressing today during our conversation. Now, I have the pleasure of having Dr. Ericka Pinckney with us today. She's going to help us navigate through this particular issue of cancel culture. Now, Dr. Pinckney, she is legit. You want to know why? I need to look down at my notes. That's how legit she is, okay? She is a licensed professional counselor and a national certified counselor. She's the owner of Pinckney Professional Counseling and Consulting Services and co-founder of Black Therapists of Central Pennsylvania. Now, with her extensive knowledge and expertise in the mental health field, she's going to be able to shed some light on some of the questions that I've had in my mind, and hopefully that you had as well. So let's get into it.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining.
You're so welcome. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes. You know, when I thought about this, you're the only person I thought would be actually, the best fit for this. Let's talk about cancel culture, Ericka. What does it mean to you? Let's define that first, because a lot of people just have their own definitions and so forth. Like, what is it to you when you hear that?
I tend to always like to start with the operational definition, just like what you're doing, bringing it in. What is our general consensus? What do we agree on? And again, agree to disagree in some cases. But obviously, when we think of canceling as ending something, I have some little quick words here too to go call off, abandon, scrap.
Yeah.
So, think about that in the human context. We're abandoning, we're scrapping, we're saying, dismissing, rejecting. Those are some of the words that I think of when I think of cancel. And then when you think of culture, again, that's that set of approved or agreed upon different attributes or views and ways of being that are a particular culture may have subscribed to. So I think when you put those two together, then collectively we cancel you, or we abandon you, or we reject you. And the court of public opinion, you hear that a lot, so with social media and things like the world we live in now, it's much easier for people to live in that space of being their true authentic self versus walking on eggshells in fear of being canceled.
Right. So the word itself is just so strong to me. And if you don't have like a strong foundation as far as like self-worth, it becomes a struggle. So like, where do you think it evolved from? Like, where do you think it came from? Well, it came out of nowhere.
This is what I put down. I put cancel culture is a cultural phenomenon in which an individual is deemed to have acted or spoken in an unacceptable manner, is ostracized, boycotted, shamed, fired, or assaulted, and often aided by social media. So where has it come from? I think just the evolution of people. We change, we grow, we have more access. People's opinions are easily available now, especially anybody can pick up their phone and go live.
Yeah.
Content is there. So it's just, you have a larger audience, and whereas a conversation between the two of us without cameras here would just be our conversation. But now when you're adding cameras and social media and all of these different places to get it out there, one conversation, and then the context can change over time too. So
right.
I think it's just come from the evolution of who we are as people, access, technology, all of those things.
You know what, Dr. Pinckney, when you said that, so it probably evolved from the evolution of social media.
Internet, if you want to take it that
or the
far.
internet.
Yeah, it's just the internet, right?
Yeah, because I don't think there was a time, and now, like you said, it certainly evolved into something like, I think, mayhem sometimes.
It can be. It can be great, but at the same time, if you don't have the, like you were alluding to, the core or that integrity and kind of know who you are as a person, then it can also be just as equally as detrimental and not a positive experience for people. So, yeah.
So then how would you say, in your professional opinion, how do we cope with that? Like, if you're not in a mental space where you're seeing all these people get canceled, or your friends are canceling you, or, just the environment that you're in is just like, okay, you do one thing wrong, we're canceling you because you're out there in the public eye. How do we cope with that?
First and foremost, like I said, I have some notes here, just being as genuine and being your true authentic self. So it comes into identity development. Do I have a strong identity? Do I know who I am? So that if I say I'm strong, I'm confident, I'm vulnerable at times, or whatever that may be, am I going to be okay with that outside of when I get in front of the world, as I was saying? So I think to answer your question, if I could backtrack a bit, it starts with you. Because if you have a strong core, or you feel very convicted and I'm 10 toes down,
right?
This is my belief,
right?
You're not going to be as impacted by other people's opinions. So everybody has an opinion. I always say, what opinion matters to you? And do opinions pay a bill at your house once a month? Probably not. So you have to take that in and really say, am I owning my beliefs and my convictions, or am I going to put them in the hands of other people and let them turn it and switch it to a way that maybe serves them? So be true to yourself so that you're not walking on eggshells.
Right.
That's where it starts.
Right.
Your core, your moral compass. Some people call it your guiding light. Some people call it your North Star. Some people call it your religious or your moral compass. Tap into that. And then ultimately that's what's going to be your anchor, because without that, it's like a fleeting wind. You're going to always be walking on eggshells, people pleasing.
Right.
And that's not a good way to be.
There's something else that you said too, like when we're in the public eye, let's think about the public figures who I think have a responsibility at some point. Like, you put yourself out there, right? I don't care if you're a movie star, if you're a politician, if you are, even a local celebrity, we do have a responsibility. So do you think the way that the cancel culture is right now, and this can be a personal opinion or a professional opinion, do you think that it helps us and holds people in the public eye accountable to doing, I guess, good deeds, or being in working in integrity, or, you know what I mean? Like, do you think there's a positive aspect to it?
My question, I kind of answered the question with a question, and I apologize, but
that's okay.
Who are you? So is it going to be such a huge contrast between who you are professionally and personally? If I'm honest and authentic as an individual, I'm honest and authentic as in my professional realm. So I don't really subscribe a lot to you're human beings when you wake up every day and you present yourself to the world. Who I am, if you ask about Ericka Pinckney professionally and Ericka Pinckney personally, there may be some, but at the same time, it shouldn't be such a swing of I'm straightforward. I respect you if you respect me. Right. I give love. I also take love. Right. Set boundaries or whatever that may be. So again, it still comes back. That's why we talk about the self-awareness and being true to yourself.
It's funny because when you were talking, I don't know why, the TikTok trend that's coming out?
Which one?
The one that they say, the one that they're like acting all professional in front, and then but who I really am, being all like,
right. If you were like this before the meeting started, good morning, everyone.
Right.
That's who you are.
That's who you are.
So again, I don't feel like you need to shrink. I mean, you could be a professional. Every setting calls for certain interactions. But again, I'm sitting here having a conversation with you. This conversation probably wouldn't be any different if we were having it inside of my office, whether we're here, because it's just about, again, it's be some consistency about who you are and how you interact with people. When you ask others, this is what the cancel culture brings in. Well, this person experienced me this way, so they may go tell this person and this person. So you have people who recruit people to hate you or recruit people to love you. Right. Whichever end of that, it has its space. But again, this comes down to informed consent and decision making. So do we have the same information? You made an opinion about me based on someone else's opinion. Is that your opinion? So I have had people like, oh, I don't like that person, and almost tell me I shouldn't like them too. And I'm like, that person didn't do anything to me. I have not experienced that from them. I may keep it on my radar, but I'm not going to shun that person because someone else told me to.
Right.
So I think, again, it comes down to morals and values and having a strong will and a strong mind that I'm not going to form an opinion about someone or make a decision. You're not going to buy a house here without reading through all the fine print and making sure that this is something I can commit and stand to and say I made the decision based on what I know, the information that was given to me.
And I appreciate you for that, because we have conversations and you'll share that with me all the time. Hey, did you do your research? I love that about you. I really do. Yeah.
People change, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think about some people I've known personally, people in Hollywood, all this celebrity stuff that's going on now. And it hurts when you've gotten to know someone and then you find out that that's not maybe who, because they had this different.
They deal with that. Like the biggest one right now is Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a soundtrack.
Like, how do you deal with that? Or another one is like R. Kelly.
They go,
You know what I mean? And then not to say, being in the Black and brown community too, I think that's just, it magnifies it, I think, a little bit, because we're just like, man, we're just looking for someone that's doing the darn thing. And, everyone's human. We all have mistakes. But when they fall, it feels like we fall with them. It feels like it may not be
right. Because I mean, think about it. If you use an artist like R. Kelly or P. Diddy, and it's like the big question was, can you separate the man from the music? What are you going to do the next time you hear an R. Kelly song? What are you going to do the next time a P. Diddy song come on? Your subconscious, you don't have to, before, as soon as it comes on, you're already moving. Then you're like, oh, wait, aren't we hating Diddy now? Aren't we hating? Yes, I hate what he did. I hate when I turned on the TV and I saw Cassie running down there. I'm like, no, oh my gosh,
right.
Because you grow up with these people, they have some significant, but you grow up with their music. You grow up with something that they had influence over. I didn't grow up in Diddy's house. I wasn't with Diddy behind closed doors. So, is it disheartening? But it also just makes us say, again, where's my moral compass that's flawless?
That part.
Who can really give you that? Now, I'm not going to take you down a rabbit hole that this show's probably not going to go to today, but you know where I'm going with this.
Right.
So who's flawless?
No, that is so true.
And who among us is flawless?
Who among us is flawless? So with that being said, so we should be okay with listening to the music.
I say you have your own personal conviction.
Yes, your own personal
Absolutely.
conviction.
I would never give a blanket like, yeah, absolutely. Again, because every 5 persons that are going to be like, yes, there's going to be another 50. They're like, absolutely not. I cancel him and everything about his music. I'll never dance to a Diddy song again. That's your personal preference. You are. And that's the thing, I think, when you talk cancel culture, people have a right to say, this is my opinion.
Right.
And just live in that.
Yeah. I think it's hard, like you say, to completely cancel a thing or a person, knowing that we are human and we all do make mistakes. Now, people say, well, it depends on what they're being canceled.
Right. What's the gravity? What's the magnitude? What's the infraction? What happened? That's where, again, informed decisions, critical thinking, having a hive mentality. We live in a world now where it's like, oh, well, we believe this, so everybody should believe this. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So, one of the quotes that I had pulled up on my phone, it's like a visual and it shows, and I'm not going to pull it up now, my phone's probably locked, but everybody going in one direction and there's like one person going on this path kind of alone. And it's easy to be like, well, everybody's going that way, so I'm supposed to. Not necessarily.
Right.
So if you have a personal conviction and an opinion and it's where you feel this is where I stand, this is where I believe my heart and spirit and soul align, then do that.
Right.
I always say, who's going to check you? It's your world. I mean, we have to live in the world together, but you're an individual when you wake up and go to bed every day.
So you said, who's going to check you? So let's just say, we post something, say, yeah, you know what? I was just listening to R. Kelly, just for this example, right? Because we brought him up. And someone just starts bashing you online. You get all this hate comments and so forth.
Every person deals with that differently.
Is they're checking you. So how do you deal with that?
They are attempting to check you because they're giving you their opinion. I may read it and say, that's fine. I agree to disagree. Or I agree 100% or I don't. So that's where, again, when you go on social media, you have to be prepared that if I post this, 50 people may love it. And then somebody's like, I hate this and this is dumb and you're dumb.
Yeah.
So these are the things that can't shake your core. They should not, I shouldn't say can't, should not shake your core. if there's a conversation and there's something to learn, you know, I would be more intrigued to say, okay, I respect that. You know, I respect your opinion. Mm-hmm. If they want to go into a deeper conversation, it's how you go. We can have one of the other quotes was like, just because I tell you my opinion, it shouldn't end in an argument. We can have differences of opinion. We can see everybody's worldview is going to be different based on how they were raised, where they were raised, what relationships, what traumas they've experienced in life. So again, if you post something and somebody comes in there at you and you're like, well, who's going to check me? That's on you to determine how much you let things impact you.
Right. So what's the psychological effects of actually being canceled and then also maybe witnessing it?
Yeah. Isolation, depression, obviously, you know, just second guessing, people pleasing, that walking on eggshell is real because it's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Living in that space is not healthy because again, you're never going to please everyone. So if you're in a constant state of, I better not say this because know your audience too. You know, if I go here and I say this in this audience, it might cause a riot. Yeah. So you got to, again, do your homework, know your audience, know yourself. But when you're confident in who you are, people can come to you with whatever. And the truth is the truth. A lie is a lie. Right. Who knows the truth? There's sometimes it's hard to determine what is the truth and what's a lie. You know, if we would have asked, sticking with the Diddy example a couple months ago, we might have said, he said it's not true, it wasn't him. And then a couple months later, here's a video. Then it was people even with that was like, it's AI.
Right.
So again, whatever your opinion, convictions are, stand firm in those. And it's okay. Don't walk on eggshells worried about cancel culture. Somebody can cancel me right now. As long as Jesus doesn't cancel me, I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
So have you noticed in your profession since cancel culture has become cancel culture? Mm-hmm. It sounded like I was saying cancer culture.
Gotcha.
Cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed an increase in depression?
COVID impacted a lot of things. How people saw the world, the way people got out, the way people communicate now, you know, all these lives and different even like the Instagram when people get in, what do they do? Like add you to their different things and stuff. We're talking a lot more. People are just doing a lot more. Not everybody can handle that. All of that input. Absolutely. I have people who have experienced heightened symptoms of suicidal ideation based on too much impact, too much feedback. So talking about breaks from social media has been I know people have fasted from or just said, I'm taking a break from whatever you want to, because they felt like this is having an impact on my well-being, how I see the world. I'm more pessimistic. I'm angry. I'm hypersensitive to certain things. So don't ignore those things. You know, you can't go to sleep. Your sleep disturbance is a huge thing that goes hand in hand with that. Again, we talk about these phones. They're with us all the time, whether it's an iPad or a tablet. What boundaries, what are your screen times, so that you're checking, you know, if it's a compulsion. If I always say, if I put my phone over there, how many times am I going to be compelled to go over there and get it in the course of this interview?
Ooh, I feel attacked.
No, I have mine right there, but we had notes. We're doing something.
I know. I feel attacked. No, meaning
but
I can take heed to that. Mm-hmm. Not saying that you attack me just right now. Yeah. Because if I know my family, when they watch it, be like, yep, in love. Because I will reach for my phone and I'll make it seem like it's because of my profession. But is it really? So maybe I could try.
I saw a TED Talk and they were talking, I don't remember who said it, and give credit where credit's due, but I can't think of the gentleman's name. But he spoke about, even if I show up and I put my phone down, if I got to dinner or something and I put it on the table face down, it still is saying to you, this is here, even if it's face down, that this thing, this object deserves to be on this playing field with us. Now, true separation from it might be, like I said earlier, put it behind my back, put it in my purse, leave it in the car. Can you do that? So that may be something, some of those small little tests to see, you know, you post a picture. I post things sometimes. I don't care if nobody likes it. I posted it. Like I just posted something this week about Shark Week, Shark Fest, and the Olympics all happening this month. After that, stop up for me. I'm not coming. I'm going to be watching Shark Week, right? No, but to say all that, I don't know who else watched Shark Week. I didn't post it for you all. It's my feed.
Right.
It's my feed. It's my. So again, it's not about being selfish. It's about being self-aware, because no one's going to be there for you No one's going to answer. No one's going to care if you won. Well, first of all, people have their own lives, right? As well-meaning as people can be, and I'll be there. Call me anytime. There may be some people out there that are really going to do that, but life happens for people. So if you can't be okay with yourself, all this, worried about being canceled, find things that make you happy. Gratitude is important, like things that you should be thankful for. But again, just this whole cancel culture thing can just really take a toll on people to the point that they isolate and they don't want to talk to anybody because they're just too afraid of the feedback or backlash or upsetting someone.
So what are some long-term effects if they don't put it in check and give yourself a break? Like what are some?
I mean, from the range of feeling some slight depression or anxiety, it can go into full social phobias. Yeah, like total isolation, impacting your health, your eating, your activities, isolating and withdrawing from things you used to enjoy, like work and social interactions. You just don't want to, even sometimes being around a lot of people and talking to people, then you come back feeling really drained because of the amount of energy that you gave or people take from you. So again, like I said, none of this cancel culture, before you even tackle this idea or concept, you just got to keep looking back at how am I as a person in the world? How do I feel? Am I shrinking? One of the books I wanted to reference is about, it's called Being Big, Be Bold, and it's, I can't think of his name, but again, I have it here.
Yeah, please.
I'll give it to you at the end. Yeah. But it's just I did some work with the Khalil Jameson group through my full-time work in their consulting company, and they did some great work, especially around 2020 when everything was just so much going on.
Yeah.
But they talk a lot about inclusion and being big, and sometimes we shrink, and why do we shrink? For whatever reason, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, to upset someone. So be your bold, authentic self. Like, grace the world. We want to know who you are, not who you hear of imposter syndrome.
Yes. You on the right podcast.
So even with that, like, it's like I show up at this job and I just feel like I'm not myself or I'm being someone else. Sometimes there is an element of that when you start a new job. I've heard that in the professional world, like, I'm the executive now, like it's right. Like you have to grow into and mature into leadership and things of that nature. But at the same time, you just got to be very careful with that whole concept of, being big, being authentic. You are a gift. What you have to say matters. I don't know which camera I'm looking at, but we want to hear from people.
Right.
And I don't want you to feel that you can't share at an authentic level. Again, for fear of backlash. You're beautifully made, you're wonderfully designed, and we want to know who people are. So I think don't look at cancel culture necessarily as a negative thing. You can look at it as, I'm aware of it, but this is how I contribute to that, or I don't contribute to that.
You know what? You just flowed right into it, because I think the people that probably have the most inhibition, or they are looking to avoid it, are people that are small business owners or entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Right? Because they have to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
So once they get that little bit of negative feedback, they're like, it starts to shake you.
It's tough. Having a Google, ratings where you read people's ratings and it's like they have a 5, and then there's that one person who's like, they were terrible. Maybe that was their experience, right? But I think that is a big thing. I mean, putting yourself out there, not only is that your business, that's your reputation, that's your means of income. There's so many things balled up into that. But again, your people will find you. I'm not going to pull up all these quotes that I had, but some of those, like, your people will find you. So for every person that doesn't appreciate or maybe thinks what you've made is terrible, there's going to be someone else who does. So that's why it pays to be yourself, your business, your brand. It's all related. So do what you need to do to be great. You had a gift, something stirred up in you that said, I'll have this gift that I want to share with the world. Do it. Yes, it's a risk. Yes, you're jumping out there. I've seen the research around businesses and how that first 5-year period is crucial. If you make it to that 5-year period, that's great. But some businesses will fail within that 3 to 5 year range. So let that be your focus on what was your mission? Why did you start whatever you left out of the gate to do? Right. Because things are going to come at you along the way. So therefore you have to just stay focused on what was my mission? What's my purpose? What's my purpose?
Yeah. And then just try to just drown out the noise.
Because there's always noise.
There's always going to be noise. And then you also have the people that just wake up every morning and said, you know what, who or how many people can I hate today?
Right. So that's why, like, if, and I'm not saying it's all blue skies every day. You wake up and you're like, oh, I love life and I love everything about it. No, that's not the reality. But how do you navigate when do you then say, okay, wait a minute, I'm feeling a little bit more drained, or I don't feel like I have as much and I'm not ready to be out in the world. I need to turtle. I need to just go and isolate. Then, what are you doing? What is your work-life balance? What is your stress management reduction skill? Like, what do you do? What's your thing to make sure that you show up the way you want to show up? That you feel proud of the way you showed up. I did a presentation recently and it wasn't my best. And I told everybody there, I've done this presentation or done lots of presentations. That day, it just wasn't my best day for various reasons. Own it. Did it bother me a bit? Yes, it did. Right. I would lie to you if I said it didn't bother me. In hindsight, I was like, dang.
Yeah.
That wasn't the best.
Right.
But then I also had to go back to, not that I did, look at my CV and look at all the presentations that I've done, all the other areas. So that's just a human thing. So show up, be your authentic self. And again, if things don't work out the way you want them to, or you're concerned about how you show up in the world, just do your work.
Okay. So because July, which you have shared with me, is Minority Mental Health Month.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
Minority Mental Health Month. Okay. So what are some maybe possible unique challenges do we have to face with respect to cancel culture and its impact?
I'm glad you said that. So it takes us right back to when you asked the range. I feel like I didn't finish that thought the whole way out. So whether it was suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, all the way to hospitalization, people can go inpatient. They have engaged in, actually, I don't like to say, rephrase that. Suicide has occurred, So when you talk about the extreme, from mild to the person's no longer with us. That's how serious it could be. I mean, you hear the stories of people who've lost everything or caught up in a scandal, and they go home and they unalive themselves, So it could be real. If you have to ask what was happening for that person. And just because, you see someone and they look depressed, what does depression look like? I could be sitting right here talking to you right now and having the whole world on my shoulder.
We do hear that.
Right. So it's not necessarily a look or, so just wrapping up that thought is just, again, it could be a wide range of things, and moving into Minority Mental Health Month and how that ties in. For many years, there's been stigma for people of color. So, it's not just, it's Black, it's other indigenous people. That is the beauty of Minority Mental Health Month. It's not Black, minority, it's a wide range. And it's because we didn't necessarily do it for various reasons, whether it was, we don't go to therapy, you're crazy. Right. There's so much stigma. You should be able to pray about it, or just, just go sit in the corner.
The Lord want to take care of it.
Yes, and he will.
Right.
I won't talk bad about the Lord at all.
No,
but at the same time, he also made therapists. We all have our gifts and our unique talents and things of that nature. So get what you need. So that would be the biggest thing about this month, is that B.B. Moore Campbell, she is an author, and she's since passed away. But she had experienced a lot of things in her life around mental health, and she recognized the importance. And it started as like a initiative that grew to a national initiative. And now this woman, her legacy lives on through, you can go to NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. You can just Google Minority Mental Health Month, and it'll show you all the different, whether it's Mental Health America, so many people have attached to this. And we want people to, I know it's cliche, people say it's okay to not be okay, but get what you need. And again, for our groups where we're not the majority,
right?
It was always seen as other people go to therapy, not us. We go to therapy.
Yeah, we do go to therapy.
We can go to therapy. What forms of therapy?
It's the forums like this or platforms like this that are allowing people to feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
About getting the therapy that they need.
And find your person. I always say it's like shopping, or I hear this, I went to a therapist once and it didn't work. Okay. That's like saying I went to a restaurant and the food was bad. Maybe I won't go back to that restaurant anymore, or maybe I would go at a different day, or who's the chef,
Right.
But to cancel the whole thing.
Yes, industry, you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. Please, please, please don't do that. That's why I encourage visiting our website, Black Therapists of Central PA, and Psychology Today. Those are like shopping malls of finding clinicians in your area. You can put in for Psychology Day, you put in your area, your zip code or whatever, and you can find people in your area. With Black Therapists of Central PA, you go to our website, go to Community Access Center, and then from there, it takes you to our directory, and we're up to over 50 therapists. So when we met during COVID, I think it was 8 people. So we're up to over 50 on the website and over 90 in our private clinicians chat. So that is just speaks volumes to people recognizing even the amount of clinicians that are now licensed and open in practices. I love it. So I just love to
that
see it.
too. So then what policy changes or initiatives could help lessen the negative impact of the stigma that we have with therapy? Like, what are some of the things that we could do with policies besides us talk? We can talk.
Yeah, right? I think showing up and talking to legislation. If you see, there's been in May is Mental Health Month. Mm-hmm. So there have been rallies last week or 2 weeks ago. There was a rally at the state capitol. So getting in touch with your local representatives, letting them know the issues that are important, and that we don't want this to just be conversation. If you look at the Google stages of change, you'll see there's like contemplation, then there's the action phase. Like we have to move from a concept to actually then what? So, whether it's getting at a school level, because one of the things I have here is like adolescence. And this here talks about the effects of social identity on children. But I'm going to read these out, but it's no different in a lot of ways for us. So if you think about the effect of social identity, it can be negative, requires confirmation from others, difficult for some kids and adults, potential for depression. We already discussed that. Positive self-image, provides a sense of belongingness and fosters care from others. So those are community and individual factors. So where are those areas? Maybe it's more programming so that, again, it's not when you're in a crisis that you're able to learn about your body and do a body scan and know that when I'm sitting like this, I'm a little bit more tensed up. I'm biting my nails or my stomach. It's not just a stomach ache. When I get around this person, my stomach hurts. When I get around these people, I get a headache. So a lot of that is around education and space for education around the somatic parts of our body and how we respond to the stress. Again, I saw legislation recently about kids, young people, they're taking the cell phones. They want to take their cell phones when they come into school and put them in a pouch. Some people are going to love that. The young people are going to,
they're going to hate it.
We ride at dawn.
Yeah.
Because that's it. But I've seen that. I've been in an alternative school and I've seen where they've collected. Did the children find ways to get online and things like that? Yes. But the point of all of that is to say is, one, we have to limit our exposure, but connect with organizations, resources, legislation around safeguarding ourselves. Is there more leave for people now when they need mental health days? Those kind of conversations weren't something you really heard about before. Right. So I think just having those conversations with those key community stakeholders, doing needs assessments to be able to say, this is what the data says. So a lot of times we can go in with ideas, but data does matter. Right. So, even if you look at the wave of violence that's going on in our city, or beyond, is it a Harrisburg thing? I've been reading a lot of the, commentary online and comments, and everybody has an answer. Everybody has an opinion. And I mean, it's all valuable, right? Yeah. It's all valuable. But with that, what do we do with it? Then what? So I think just getting into those grassroots organizations, it has to start with the young people and then also the adults. So it's like if we start with the young people and the adults are doing their work, the young people are doing their work, we meet in the middle. Right.
That's a good thing because we were brought up a different way than what they're being brought up in the social media world. Yeah. So they do have different sets of anxieties or issues that they have to deal with. And cancel culture is probably most.
And they have to deal with profound. School and they're in their formative years. Their brain is not finished developing. So again, you talk about a mature brain versus a developing brain or a trauma impacted brain. All of this cancel culture is going to impact every individual different based on their worldview, where they come from.
So I have a Gen Z or actually I do have a Gen Z, or I have someone that's in high school. Are they Gen Z? Don't get me to lying. Are they Gen Z?
Oh, alpha.
Just say alpha. Okay. So we have the high schoolers. Okay. What do we do? What do we say to parents? Like, hey, they should have so many days they shouldn't be on their phone or check in if they say the stomach hurts, like you said.
First.
Okay. Fair.
Relationship first. Because again, I've seen parents, I worked with adjudicated youth and families for almost 16 years before I came into working with adults in private practice. I've seen parents, one almost have her arm broken trying to take a phone from a teenager. right?
Wow.
It's that real. I saw it multiple times. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, these kids will fight their parents behind, yeah. So that's where relationships and
So
with
it's an
other
addiction,
things.
is what
It
you're
is very
telling me.
much addictive. These were designed with addiction in mind. If you do the research, I think Steve Jobs, his children didn't have one.
Really?
So if you do check it out, there is absolutely addictive quality social media. So when we talk about the dopamine and like what it does to your brain, it's a chemical thing. So when we talk about putting your phone away or stepping away from a conversation, you're emotionally driven. You're pulled into these. A lot of our world is a psyop. A lot of our world is, if you look at, what was I going to say? It's a social and psychological experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these apps and things like that absolutely contributes to that. So if you take that, pair that with a informative mind, a mind that's just informative years in adolescence, yeah, bullying. I mean, look at the sexting and all these different things. So your point, I think parents, that relationship, what other things can they be involved with other pro-social teens, adults, because a lot of times it may not be the parent. The parent's probably not going to. Who's that favorite auntie? Who's that favorite cousin? Someone a little bit more that can be a part of your village. So look at who's in your village, but it definitely is a community thing from the youngest to the oldest. We all are living in, and we all are at risk of being canceled. But again, are you really in the court of public opinion? Possibly. Can your business be impacted because somebody went and put a nasty post about it? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. These are real things. I'm not saying these things don't happen, but how do you pivot then? Like you said earlier, like if I have that one bad post, somebody doesn't like my business, but then there's 90 other that are giving me 5 stars.
Right.
We tend to focus on that one.
Of course.
So staying focused and just positive and trying to realize that we're human and we're all trying to navigate this thing called life. Mm-hmm. There's no manual on perfection because we're human and we can't be perfect. We can do our best, but we do need to give each other grace and think about, if I post this, how could this be received? If I say this, is it coming from a place to hurt that person or to help that person? So again, you got to be intentional.
Right. Yeah. This was so good.
Yes. Thank you.
So good. If you haven't picked up on it, she gave us resources. She gave us answers to some very great in-depth questions that we talked about with cancel culture. So if you like to continue the conversation, I encourage you to do so in your own little groups, right? With your children, with your friends at all times, because when it comes to things like this, like she said, that social media is a powerful tool. And that's where you see the largest, I guess could say, the largest amount of canceling occurring. And then it starts affecting the way we have conversations offline as well. So just keep in mind that it starts with who you are, having the self-worth, knowing that you are somebody and you cannot let other people tell you otherwise. And yet, if you do need some help, we have therapists like Dr. Pinckney who's available to assist you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
you.
Yes. So until next time, we'll see you.